on the 6:01. And I will call this meeting to order. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all very much. All right. We have an employee recognition award that I am going to read here. So this was submitted by Bob Hand, the building maintenance crew leader, and it is for Wayne Moore, who is a relatively new member of the village team in the building maintenance department. He's a maintenance mechanic 3, and I'm just going to read you the letter that was sent to me by Bob Hand. I want to take a moment to express my sincere appreciation for the exceptional work Wayne has been doing. I would like to recognize his dedication, skill, and positive attitude, as well as the significant contribution he brings to our department and the village. His craftsmanship is impressive, and it is evident that he has taken immense pride in his work. His attention to detail and ability to tackle challenging projects with precision and expertise are commendable, and the financial saving to the village by doing this work in-house has been significant. Not only is he a talented carpenter, but also he demonstrates excellent teamwork and communication skills that greatly benefit our department and the village. His passion for carpentry is infectious, and his willingness to share his knowledge and support with his coworkers is truly appreciated. His commitment to excellence sets a high standard for all of us to strive for. I would also like to thank the rest of my staff for their daily hard work and commitment to maintaining our village buildings throughout the years. So this is to thank Bob Hand for all of his work. He actually did restore the half-round window on the 3rd floor of this building that faces Main Street. It looks beautiful now. It hasn't been opened in years, and he did that all by hand. It took him a few weeks at the end of the summer, but it's a beautiful job, and he's done great work elsewhere in the village. So congratulations to Bob Hand on this award. Wayne Bruin, sorry. Bob Hand was the submitted it. Sorry. Thank you.
High praise indeed for Wayne Moore as well, Mayor, so we got to congratulate him.
Yeah, oh no, absolutely. Wayne was not able to be here this evening, but I saw him earlier today and told him that we would recognize him and send him our congratulations. So now we'll move to mayoral appointments. I'm going to turn over to Scott Russell, the village administrator.
Resolved that Mayor Manger appoints and the Board of Trustees approves Kyle Matheson appointed to the position of building inspector in the building department at a salary of $70,000 effective date of October 11th, 2024. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
It's unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
The second is Mayor Manger appoints and requests a motion from the Board of Trustees to approve the following land use board position: Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, alternate member John Gregory, with the term commencing October 11th, 2024 and expiring October 10th, 2025. I need a motion.
Make the motion for the 1 year as an alternate.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Now we're going to have a couple of board presentations. The first will be from Councilman Iacilli from the town. Thank you for coming around the corner, Councilman. And we would like you to speak on this Proposition 3 that will be on the ballot this November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me, and it's good to see the village board. And you have a wonderful, beautiful boardroom. It's nice, very bright, and a beautiful picture behind you.
Thank you.
I am here to speak in favor of Proposition 3, restoring Lake Agawam, a critically important initiative that has been ongoing, not just with this administration, but previous administrations. I want to commend this village board, however, for continuing this important effort to restore the health of Lake Agawam, a seriously impaired water body, as many of us know. The New York State DEC, of course, designated the lake as impaired due to the proliferation of toxic algae such as cyanobacteria, which is incredibly harmful when humans are exposed to it. It could also be harmful when fishing and boating. And as a proponent of the preservation of our wildlife, I am also concerned that the toxins are particularly harmful to the aquaculture and marine habitats within the lake. And we as a community really have an enormous opportunity and an enormous responsibility now to address one of the greatest existential threats of our region, and that is clean water, because it's not just Proposition 3 that's on the ballot, but also Proposition 2. To protect the county's drinking water, we will first be voting for the Suffolk County Water Restoration Act, which will create a countywide sewer district and bring us closer to a region-wide septic improvement effort that not only addresses drinking water, but also, as Dr. Gobler has mentioned, protects surface waters and reduce nitrogen in our bays and our waterways. One of the implications is that not only does this enhance our public health, but it also protects our local economies. So we want to vote yes on Proposition 2, and that is exactly why we have to vote yes on Proposition 3. Our town greatly relies on the revenue that is generated right here in this village. Many of the businesses rely on the health of the surrounding environment to continue doing business. Many of our members of the workforce also rely on the generated revenue to support the jobs that we have here locally. In fact, we know how important these kinds of matters are, especially when you walk into our restaurants and you talk to the business owners and you talk to the workers. You know, I love going to Shippey's with my wife, great food there. Also, I tend to go grab lunch with legislator Ann Welker at Public House. And I can tell you, they want to see that we are taking this initiative seriously. So we want to continue to sustain our local economy and also continue to attract economic activity that helps to fund our local services. So economically, Prop 3 is extraordinarily important. Environmentally, Prop 3 will also help use Dozier Park as a site through CPF funds for the construction of an algae harvester and clean approximately 3 million gallons of polluted Lake Agawam water every day. And that's according to the Lake Agawam Conservancy and experts who have really done amazing work in advocating for the remediation of this lake. This also eliminates the need to close the beaches when the Gin Lane pipe is open, which is really good for everyone. All in all, I want to reinforce the importance of Prop 3 and the town board's support and encouragement of this important vote. It's up to the people. And I also want to commend the village board for their nonstop efforts, the calls that I received from Mayor Menger for all the help, and we're proud to help the village and be a partner with the village because we want to make sure that this does come to fruition. We're in this together, so I thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Iacilli.
Yep.
Really appreciate you being here and speaking.
course.
Councilman, if I could also just
Sure.
make the point
Yes.
that the passage of Prop 3 will not cost the taxpayers of the area 1 cent.
Correct.
It's a win-win. In other words, the money is already in the there is no cost to the taxpayer. It just allows us to locate the algae harvester in Dozier Park and start cleaning up Lake Agawam and skimming the algae out of there. I think
Yes,
that's important to know.
The village has received $10 million, I believe, in grant funding.
That's correct. $5 million from the town of Southampton and $5 million from the federal government.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and we're happy to support this really important proposition. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Sage, we're going to have Rusty Schmidt from NPV talk to us a little bit about an update on some of the CPF grants. Can you bring him in, please? Thank you, Sage. Rusty, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and the trustees for having me come and join you at your for your meeting tonight. And I was asked to come and talk about the North Lake Agawam project. So follow up on the good news about the harvester. We're going to add a little bit more improving water quality getting to Lake Agawam. And so we received, just a little background, Part of the water quality improvement plan that we've created for the village, we took the North Lake Agawam project sites and put them into a grant application, and we're successful in getting grants from both the town CPF as well as the state of New York to pay for these projects. And what I was wanting to show you is the projects themselves a little bit. So I'm going to share my screen and give you a little bit of where the projects are. I'm sure that if you've been driving down Main Street area, you actually saw that in front of the post office, along Bowden Square and along Cooper's Farm Road, that there's been a number of gardens that have been dug out. And so this one is the rain garden along Bowden Square. These are the three along Cooper's Farm Road. And then in front of the post office is two rain gardens. And we were able to design them to meet the water quality standards, and then also install enough detail to get the plans pulled together. And now we are in the process of getting a final hire. I'm sorry, I got a dog behind me squeaking a squeaky toy. I'm sorry about that. We now are ready to get these things planted, and we're just finalizing a bid to hire a landscape contractor to do the install. One of the things that is part of the state water quality improvement plan programs is that we need to have a certain portion of the grant hiring minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and veterans. Owned businesses, we've done minority and veterans, and so the installation will be concluded with a woman-owned business, and that will finish off the product. So as soon as we can get that contract finalized, we will start planting these. So this one on the top is the one on the Bowden Square. These here, and I know it's small, but this is the planting plan for in front of the post office. The big circles are shrubs. The little blobs around the outside edge are flowers and grasses. Same thing with the three along Cooper's Farm Park. Or Cooper's Farm Road.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea of what we're doing. I don't know if do you have any questions for me?
No, that's very good. I would ask fellow board members if they have any questions. Just wanted to make sure, I know that you've been doing this in consultation with the Lake Agawam Conservancy, since they're now doing some of the maintenance of these. And I want to make sure that the material is going to be deer resistant, because we still have quite a few deer in the village.
Yes, you haven't got rid of those yet? Voting numbers? Anyway, no, they have, yes, the plant choices that we chose are deer resistant, and the plans went in front of Lake Agawam, and they've approved the plans, the plant choices and the plant material that we're proposing to plant into the project.
Excellent. Any other board members have any comments? Well, Rusty, we thank you very much for.
Can I ask a question?
I guess we do one question. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have one question from a member of the public here.
Hi, Sheila Pfeiffer. I'm co-chair of the Environment and Sustainability Committee and resident here. You haven't mentioned, I can't read on the screen, well, I couldn't read, it was too small, what kind of plants you're planting, and we know that environmentalists are very insistent that native plants are the best, and I didn't hear any mention of the word native plants in your choices.
Okay, no problem. I only plant native plants, so that is so I'm 100% planting native plants, and that's the only way I design. And so I guess I tend to forget to mention that.
Rusty, why don't you just give a little bit of your background for those that might not be familiar with you?
Yeah, no problem. So I work for a company called Nelson Pope and Voorhees out of Melville, but I'm originally from Minnesota. That's where the accent comes from. I am a senior landscape ecologist. That just means I have gray hair and a landscape ecologist. I started off my career as a biologist and ecologist, and then I went back to school for a master's in landscape architecture. And I only do sustainable native landscape design, and I'm always working on projects that are improving water quality, as well as the other thing that it should be mentioned that not only are the plants native, but all the plants are pollinator friendly and are pollinator habitat plants as well.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rusty. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
And thank you again for joining us tonight via Zoom. And
Yeah, no problem.
it's a beautiful field behind you in the shot.
So the field behind me is the meadow that we designed and installed at the Sisters of St. Joseph property in Brentwood.
Very nice. Well, thank you very much, Rusty. Have a good evening. Thank you. And now we will, I would make a motion to open the first public hearing on the 2025 Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Who is going to be speaking on this? This is something we do every year. Actually, is Kathy able to come in maybe?
Wasn't someone from the daycare center coming in?
Well, I was going to have her just give an overview, and then we were going to talk about the applicants for this. Thank you, Michael.
Take care.
Kathy, would you mind coming to the podium and just talking a little bit about the Community Development Block Grant?
That would be Julie as the treasurer. I'm not familiar with that.
But we've done this every year.
I know.
Yeah,
Do you want me to just give a recap from last year?
yeah.
Is the representative from the daycare center here?
Oh, good. Well, then we're going to call you up in a second, but maybe you could just give
Sure.
what this is, because it's an annual event.
Okay, got it. So every year we have the Community Development Block Grant. We generally have a range of $10,000 to $15,000 that's distributed to the village for distribution to eligible charities. Namely, the Heart of the Hamptons is generally one that we would distribute to, and then also the Southampton Daycare Center. So as long as I've been here since 2019, those are the two organizations that we have been able to make the donations to. Every year, it's a deliverable item, so we have to have it as a public forum. And so with that said, today we have two folks. One is with written correspondence, which is the Heart of the Hamptons. Would you like Scott, our village administrator, to read that first? And then you'll be able to come up? Sure. Want to do that? Okay. So at this time, we'll present the first person, which is Heart of the Hamptons for Molly Bishop. She's the executive director for the Heart of the Hamptons. Everyone has it in their binder.
Yep.
And at this time, Scott, you can go ahead and read the written correspondence on behalf of Molly.
Of course.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
Dear Mayor Manger and members of the Board of Trustees, Heart of the Hamptons provides year-round food pantry open to the public Monday through Friday with drive-through hours Wednesdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. or by appointment Monday through Friday 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We serve 7,862 residents of Southampton Town, with a significant number of our customers residing within Southampton Village. Emergency financial support is also provided for gaps in rent, utility bills, medical costs, and any other financial hardship gravely affecting our community members. We have distributed 346,951 meals worth of groceries already this year. That is more than the total number of meals we provided in all of last year, and we still have our three busiest months to come. Every month this year, we have seen at least a 40% increase over the same month last year. Our local economy depends on low-wage and seasonal workers. The salaries of these types of jobs are not enough to afford to live here year-round. That, coupled with the already high cost of living in our area, puts a major strain on low-wage workers and their families. Demand for our services is greater than it has ever been before. We are spending well over $200,000 a year purchasing food and spend an equal amount in providing a safety net for our neighbors' basic living expenses. Your continued support helps people to continue to live here, providing a vital workforce for local businesses. We would be most grateful for the help of Southampton Village through the community block grant funding to continue to provide for our neighbors. For the past 44 years, our mission has been to help people in our local community who are in need without discrimination in a dignified manner. Without the support from the Village of Southampton and the 2025 community block grant funding, Heart of the Hamptons would not be able to provide as much help to local people. And that's sincerely Molly Bishop, Executive Director, Heart of the Hamptons.
Thank you very much, Mr. Administrator. All right, and now we'll call up the representative from the daycare center, please. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Susan Hopdusvin, and I'm the board president of the Southampton Daycare. That sounds like a really fancy title. It just means that I spend a lot of time doing something that I'm very, very passionate about. Affordable childcare is in crisis, of course, in the country, but here locally. We've lost two vital resources, one in Bridgehampton and one in Montauk. These centers are closing because they're simply very, very difficult to stay open. It's difficult to find teachers, and it's difficult to just make ends meet. Southampton Daycare Center is a center for childcare based on our hours of operation. So we're open from 7 to 6 every weekday. But we're much more than that. Yes, we are carefully taking care of the most precious people in our community, our young children, but we are also providing early childhood education. So our teachers are preparing these young people for the kindergarten. Many of them are going off to Southampton, but some may be going to Hampton Bays. We do accept students throughout the East End, but we're primarily getting the students and children of families that are then going off and working in the community. So the impact is not just the student who's there, it's their siblings, because now their parents are able to go out to work, but it's also the local businesses. And for anybody that's ever had a business and your employees can't come to work because there's no childcare for the employees' children, it's just a roller coaster of bad luck. So we are always there. We've never had to close. You know, we may close because it's a snow day, but we're always open. We're always welcoming the families. And I'd like the community to think of childcare as infrastructure. It's like a road, and if you don't have it, you can't really survive. So these grants allow us to survive. We have the lowest fees out here on the East End. And the only way that we can continue to keep the fees low and keep every student on a scholarship is through these grants. We do private fundraising as well, but it's a struggle financially every day. So we appreciate your support. I can't tell you enough. We appreciate the community support. We have so many beautiful people in our community. Just recently we had pumpkins given to us as a donation. We have services given to us as a donation, and these are all local businesses that are helping us. So I thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I feel like I'm an expert in the area, kind of. I don't know what I'm going to do with this knowledge at my age, but I can answer some questions.
Thank you so much. Do any of the board members have any questions? Trustee Simeoni?
Just wondering, how many students do you take care of on a daily basis?
That's a great question. We are overseen by the Office of Child and Family Services, and so our license is for 30 students. We always have a wait list. Right now, the number's probably a little bit under that, but that's what our license allows us to do, and that's set as the size of the building.
There's probably a much greater need than that, though, in the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what happens is when you can't bring your child to a place like the Southampton Child Daycare Center, they end up going to a place that's not overseen by the Office of Child and Family Services, and it can be risky.
Anything? Okay, thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
All right, thank you.
Do any of the members of the public wish to speak on the 2025 Community Development Block Grant Program? Okay. Hearing none, I will make a motion to close this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. The next one is Local Law 31 of 2024, a local law amending Chapter 11638B, Site Plan Review, Objectives of Site Plan Procedure and Review, 116-14I, Design Requirements for Non-Residential Parking and Truck Loading Areas, and 116-14K, Village Business District and the Village Code to require minimum green space areas and screening in commercial parking areas lots, and to require cross-access between such parking area lots and adjacent properties through easements in accordance with the recommendations of the Southampton Village Comprehensive Plan Update of 2022. I will make a motion to open this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Do you want to speak about this as from the legal
Sure.
standard?
One of the recommendations in the 2022 update to the comp plan was that we require some green space in the commercial parking spots up to 10% or a minimum of 10%. So, so we just made a couple of short amendments to the code to require that. We also have been historically requiring cross-access. So between commercial parking areas, we do that when the planning board does it when a piece of property presents itself for redevelopment or an improved development, et cetera. So we require a cross-access easement. And then when the adjacent properties also do that, then we open up the cross-access. So this just clarifies it in 2 points in the code so that it's actually required in the code and not just something that the planning board
And it's also saying that where possible, parking should be at the rear of the property
Right.
instead of at the front of the property.
Correct.
I mean, there's some
Yes.
lots not too far from here down the street where all the parking is in the front on the corner. And, you know, it's thought that it would be more attractive if the businesses were up at the street frontage and with parking in the rear, much the way we have it on Main Street here and on Job's Lane.
And it also requires, the amendment also requires some screening if the parking lot is visible from the
street.
From the street.
Right.
And also does just tweak the parking requirements for residential uses
In the village center,
in
yeah.
the village business district, yes.
I mean, just to clarify, the current statute does not require cross-access.
It does not.
You said that it does.
No, I said that the planning board has been requiring it. And
They get to review it and decide whether or not it makes sense or not.
Correct. Well, I don't know how they make that decision. That's something you have to ask the planning board, but I can tell you that municipalities and planning boards across Suffolk County have been routinely requiring cross-access easements when
But there
people
just
come in.
seems to be some applications where cross-access might not be a good idea, and to require it, I think, is making a too bold statement. Personally, that's my opinion.
Okay. This wasn't my idea.
Yeah.
Just-
No,
I'm
this
happy
was
to chat about
again
it
part
if
of
you
the comprehensive plan, saying that it's good planning to be able to have a connection between.
It's
between
good planning
parking
in
lots.
certain instances, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's to say it's required when there certainly is going to be some applications where it's maybe not a good idea, and then to have to put that person go through all the hoops to avoid having to do it, I don't think that's a great idea. But that, again, that's my personal opinion. I would not support that aspect of this resolution.
Okay. Trustee
And
Zimmerman?
by the way, the village business building guidelines that were passed, I think, 10 years ago or more, actually required that businesses be in the front,
Right.
the sidewalk, and the parking in the back. So
right,
I mean,
which is-
that meets exactly what we had discussed in the planning commission a long time ago.
Yeah, no, very good. Yeah, unfortunately, there were some things done here in the early 60s. It
Right.
didn't follow those guidelines, but they weren't around at the time. Trustee Zanati?
No comments.
Trustee Brown? Okay. Any members of the public wish to speak on this? Please come forward. Hi.
My name is Tony Ann Warren. I'm a commercial real estate agent and property manager on many properties in Southampton and East Hampton. I've got a couple of questions. What is going to trigger the cross easement.
Cross access?
Yeah.
When someone comes in to redevelop a piece of property.
So if you have a
You
piece of
site plan
property,
in front of the planning board or something, an application.
but what about the person that's abutting that piece of property?
So traditionally what happens is if I come in to redevelop a piece of property, the planning board requires the cross-access easement. It's an easement, it's recorded, but it's not opened until the neighboring property also comes in, redevelops their property. Then the board says, okay, now we can open up the cross-access.
So isn't that going to trigger an issue with property owners that have mortgages, that insurances will be doubled and tripled for a cross easement?
No, this is done
Why?
all over Suffolk County.
I understand
And it has
that,
been done
but
that for years, and it's, as far as I know, not one person has objected, saying it raised their insurance.
so,
You
I-
should go down in center of Riverhead. I just was there yesterday.
but we're not Riverhead. We're a
saying
historic,
you're Riverhead.
but we're a
It's just-
historic district.
Okay.
I'm not going to argue with you about it, but
It
I will
wasn't my
say.
idea, so
I
there's
know,
no
I know,
argument.
but I'm just asking.
Okay.
I do manage a piece of property in the village on Main Street that has cross easements with 3 other properties. And the property owners refinanced and had an issue with the mortgage company and the insurance company because, well, number one, we're not an ADA village in the back, but having the cross easements of someone else not taking care of their property, tripping and falling, whose responsibility is it? It's an open lot now. There's no designation.
Okay, I'm
So,
not sure what you're talking about,
there's-
but these are vehicular cross-access
Yeah, and I have that.
agreements, right?
Yes.
And I've never heard of this objection.
But, so are you proposing that we close all the cross accesses that we
I'm not.
currently
I'm not
have?
saying
Because
let's-
I don't think that would be a good idea.
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying let's not promote more. There are ramifications for having this. We were approached on this for another piece of property on Flying Point, a big corner property. Will that change then the use of that amount of parking, the use of that piece of property by allocating a cross easement to the 2.5 acre piece of property behind it? Because it's restricted now for the amount of parking. You open up those lots, now it's not restricted.
I understand.
Do you,
Yeah.
that's my only opinion on that,
Right.
okay?
The idea is not to have cars have to go in and out of different parking lots that are next to each other,
But that's what happens.
onto the main street.
And in that corner there, it's also tractor trailers, unloading vehicles.
Yeah.
For all the car
No, I'm familiar with
dealerships
the
there.
location. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. No, I
which
think,
becomes a burden on the property owner
Yeah.
because now we have tractor trailers, more maintenance on the parking lot, the cesspools that are in there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's not fair to the property owners.
well, I don't see how the
requiring-
cross access is gonna change the septic systems and things like that.
They're already there.
I understand, but
But
they're
the tractor
under-
trailers are driving over it because now we have cross easements coming off and not sitting at that
Well,
light.
that probably should have been considered when they located the cross access, that not to go over the septic system. And that obviously wasn't considered, I guess.
Given the size of that building, they're already there.
Okay, well,
I
again,
just-
there may be valid reasons, and maybe then they should have applied for a variance, which they always have a right to do that.
We haven't permitted because we haven't done anything to that piece of property
Okay.
to allow that. But that's my point
Yeah.
is what is going to trigger this? If
It's
the
a
front piece of
redevelopment of
property-
a piece of property.
Right,
That's
so
what
if he
triggers
wants to develop that piece of property, he's going to get the cross easement on that back piece of property. The back piece of property, those property owners don't want the cross easement. They are trying to avoid that traffic coming in off of Hampton Road and County Road 39, cutting across to avoid that traffic onto that piece of property to go down Little Cobb. Do you understand where I'm?
I'm getting it, I'm
You
getting
know
it,
where it
but-
is?
Yeah, I know
Right.
exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
I think I know the owner too, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do.
So again, this is standard practice throughout the entire county, and our firm, Buckers Fish Jakmar, who did the master plan, recommended this as good planning for the future of the village. And it would only come into play when there's a redevelopment of a parcel.
Okay.
And so, again, if someone's not redeveloping the parcel, it could sit there for years and years and years and not ever have an issue. But it's good practice to have the ability to open these back accesses. I mean, I can think of Hampton
certain-
Road right now on the north side where they're all individual parking lots, and
Yes.
it really is not conducive to free flowing of people getting to businesses and people. I mean, they're literally gates. They're walls. So you can't even, if you park in one, you'd have to move your car to be able to go down the street.
So by opening up on, as you're saying, on Hampton Road, to bypass something,
No, we're not bypassing anything. We're just trying to communicate between the backs of the properties. Just the way this
but on
back
the
parking
north
lot here,
side, isn't
I
that
can walk
residential?
from here. I could walk all the way from here to the Sotheby's office in this back parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
If all of these were individually owned, they would have fences up, and you would not be able to do that.
I would think that the people that have residential houses on Hampton Road on the north side would not want full driveways between each property.
I'm thinking of the block that's from North Main Street probably to Little Plains, and I think it's all offices or retail.
Well, cross-access is applying to commercial properties.
It's
Yes.
it's not even applying to
I don't know
residential
what you mean, 'cause
properties.
this only applies to commercial properties.
Well, Hampton Road Office District has residentials behind it.
Behind
north
it,
side.
but there would be no connection
They don't
to
have
a
to
property
yeah.
behind.
If you put in parking in the back and you cross connect, am I missing what you guys just said? You want parking in the back?
Right, and I would like to be able to connect the stores that are all along in one row, so that you could maneuver back behind there without having to go in and
That's
out
the main road.
I get it.
with fences.
All right.
I mean, I can think of fences, over here too, where you can't get through, so you're prevented from moving freely. We're trying to make the village also a more pedestrian-friendly village, and have more access like that, so people don't always have to jump in and out of their vehicles.
I get it.
No, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your points, though. Thank you very much. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Okay, well then, at this point, I will close this public hearing for local law 31 of 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Scott, you want to do correspondence to the board?
Correspondence to the board. We have correspondence from a David Cordish, who laments the closing of a local popular bookstore and recommends the possibility of a publicly owned and publicly operated bookstore. We have correspondence from Professor Dr. Alexander Legal discussing traffic on Hill Street and traffic with reference to 71 Hill Street project. We have correspondence from Brian Higgins, who is requesting an exception to the gas leaf blower ban for 4 specific properties.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll open it to public comment. Anyone wishing to speak for 3 minutes can come to the mic. Did anyone sign up?
No. Oh, did you? I'm sorry. Yes, is it Robert Kober, 345 Hill Street?
Good to see you, Rob.
Good to see you, Mayor and trustees. I'm going to speak quickly because I've timed this. Under the prior mayor, the board approved Local Law 8-2023, updating our historic code. As the owner of an historic house who has served on the ARB and preserved and restored more historic property on eastern Long Island than anyone, I should support that update. Unfortunately, the process for this change was so deeply flawed as to make its passage entirely inappropriate and possibly illegal. The flaws began with notice. No agenda was available to the public until the day of the meeting, not the 24 hours required. There was also no strike-through or red-line version of the proposed code provided until shortly prior to the meeting, making the public entirely dependent on village officials to explain the resolution fairly in the hearing. They did not. The changes were summarized by counsel as quote-unquote definitional in nature. He said the impetus was to more closely follow New York State model law, but failed to disclose that there was no legal requirement to do so, and that New York State provides significant discretion on how and even whether to adopt the model law. Other officials who likely conferred prior echoed the characterization of changes as definitional. It was a word used a lot. One trustee stated, the most important thing is the addition of a glossary of terms. In short, officials downplayed the resolution and failed to disclose The largest change, a wholesale rewriting of approval criteria, the crux of that code, entirely omitted from the discussion. The old criteria section consisted of principles and factors for the ARB to consider in reviewing an application. There were no one-size-fits-all requirements for applicants. The new version, almost double the length, uses the word shall 10 times, reflecting the significant new hurdles the approval of a certificate appropriateness now requires. That I support many of those hurdles is moot. It's maybe surprising, but it's moot. The problem is that no one was made aware of them, literally. You can go look at the tape, and there's no public vetting or input as required by law. I'm not sure the trustees even understood what they were actually voting on. In short, the agenda was not posted in a timely manner, the packet with the resolution was not provided until an hour before, and excluded a strike-through or red line version. Village officials grossly misled the public. I'm not saying they intended to, but they did, failing to indicate any substantive changes or additional burden on residents, repeatedly mischaracterizing the changes as primarily definitional, and in a feat of Orwellian doublespeak, said that it provided clarity to help applicants. It didn't. It put a burden on them. Most egregiously, the public was not invited or allowed to comment at the hearing. Wasn't. You can look at the tape. In my 35 years here, substantive changes such as this were always published days or more in advance, frequently previewed at prior meetings and or in the Southampton press, and in every case I can recall, held open for at least 2 meetings, giving the public time to understand and have their voices heard. This reversion, already inadequately noticed and incorrectly described, took less than 10 minutes at 1 meeting. It's a shame, and no public comment was allowed. Both our historic code and the public deserve better. Code updates cannot be dictates from oracles speaking in riddles and misleading their listeners. They're only legitimate when done with full disclosure to and participation from members of the public. Local Law 8-2023 utterly failed in this regard and must be repealed. I have copies of...
I think you sent me that last night, right?
Well, this is a slightly different version.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'd love to enter the record.
Of course, sir.
Thank you, Rob. What's next? Who's next?
We have Mr. David Rung.
David Rung, 85 Pleasant Lane. Mr. Mayor, you didn't say you were happy to see me up here.
Always pleased to see you, David.
Let's recap the assessed value issue. Assessed values are what the village uses to allocate the tax burden to individual property owners. 1, the village continues to refuse to tell residents how the village computes assessed values, even though this affects every property owner in the village. Each of you advocates for transparency, and yet on this issue, you don't practice it. Number 2, the village continues to lie and deceive on every tax invoice that it sends out. The invoice indicates a full market value number on the real estate invoice, but that number is a backed into number based on a predetermined assessed value. The village makes no attempt to use current market value, and the number computed is a lowball number, again, meant to merely deceive residents. Number 3, no one checks the assessor's computations. This is negligent management that exposes the village to financial losses, and it's also something that could be easily overcome with no expense to the village. Number 4, the village destroys its records of the computations of assessed value after 4 years. Again, management negligence, which exposes the village to financial losses. Number 5, last year's grievance hearing was before the full board, but the open meetings law was ignored. No minutes were prepared, and the public was denied the right to observe the discussions and decisions of the board. This process is a clear conflict of interest, which again could be overcome with transparency. Number 6, the grievance decisions are made in private. Then the grievance filer is told there will be no discussion, no negotiations, no appeal. If you don't like the decision, sue us. That's the response you get. Last year, the village paid over $100,000 to grievance filers who did sue, a cost that could be avoided if disputes were resolved before the rolls were set. Number 7, the present assessed value system procedure produces absurd and unfair results. $100 million properties pay 1/3 of the taxes in relation to value that $1 million properties pay. This is just wrong. I've been vocal about these issues for over 2 years, and I've been entirely ignored. What's new? Scott is new. Hopefully he will have the integrity to want to correct this immoral and unfair situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rung. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to make a couple of corrections. First and foremost, the indicated market value is not a calculation at the local level. The assessed value is calculated locally on a benchmark year of value. Then the New York State calculated equalization rate gets applied to the assessed value to determine the overall market value. It is not meant to be a basis for assessment or for taxation, but merely an indication of value for edification for the property owner. With reference to the benchmark year, I have to confess, I do not know how it's done. 1992, as it's probably ultimately the benchmark year has to be the same across the board. That's what determines equity. If there are imperfections, that's no different than any assessment roll in Suffolk County. I would urge you to look at the coefficient of dispersion, which would be the assessed value versus market value across the entire board. But we can have a lovely, look, I did this for a lot. I was an assessor and president of Suffolk County Assessors Association for 3 terms. So I could sit down with you any day. I'd love to talk about it. Some of the things you said might make sense. But again, I have not had time to have any thorough discussion with the local assessor to determine what might need to change and what might not need to change. Also, let me point out that we don't lose, or the village doesn't lose doesn't lose legal fees when assessments are reduced after the closing of the assessment roll. This is merely money that is refunded to the owner, but ultimately collected back to what's called the county Article 7 line. You'll see it on the tax bill. So it's just basically reapportioning back. It's essentially doing what you want it to do, which is to realign the assessed value or the contributory value to the tax rate. That's exactly what it's there for. People who think they're overassessed can pursue a SCART proceeding. It's only a $25 filing fee before an informal hearing officer. It's not a court proceeding.
Thank you, Scott. Do we have someone else who would like to speak?
We have nobody else.
But anyone from the public? Okay, please. Sheila, please come forward.
Hi, Sheila Pfeiffer again. I just wanted to, we don't know, you didn't reveal what the details of the correspondence from Brian Higgins are, requesting an exception to the gas leaf blower ban, but I am alarmed and would like to caution the board to be extremely careful about opening the floodgates to exceptions. This village spent a long, long time examining everything to do with gas leaf blowers and involved the landscaping community and all the different stakeholders. And there is a very, very strong majority of people who do not want to hear gas leaf blowers at any time. And I have noticed, living here in the village as I do, that many of the landscapers who work here, of course, they work in the town as well and other areas, they seem to be under the impression that now that it's fall, it's fine to use a gas leaf blower. I stop probably once a day to talk to a landscaping group of people who have their gas blowers there. So it might be really great if the village would do something to remind the landscaping community that this ban is in effect forever.
So we actually put the movable digital boards up at entrances to the village, and they're actually now in English and in Spanish that gas leaf blowers are banned in the village.
That's great.
In fact, I can tell you that code enforcement has been giving out a lot of tickets because I've heard quite a few people
Yeah.
Talk to me about it.
Okay, fabulous. Thank
So,
you very much.
they are doing everything I think they can.
Yeah, that's
It's still
great.
going to be a little bit of a
It's an
training
education.
for
I
people.
understand.
It's only what, October 10th, and so
I know.
we'll get there. But thank you very much,
I understand.
Sean.
Thank you. I just wanted to raise a little issue there. Thank you.
Mr. DeVito, please come forward.
How are you?
Good.
Hey, I came in late, so I didn't get.
Well, here, come over to the podium.
I don't need a mic.
No, but they like it on the record because of the folks sitting at home.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'm here for the appointment of John Gregory as the interim ARB.
Yeah, he's just an alternate for 1 year.
I get that.
Yeah.
So, but what it has, we never resolved the issues with them. You know how I feel about board members doing work beyond thinking they're above the law.
Mm-hmm.
So the issue with John Gregory is it was not that he did work without permits while he was on the board. It was not that he got a stop work order and he continued to work ignoring the stop work order. You combine that with, at the same time all of this was going on, he was very policing the area himself, going after different subs and people. But when it came down to, when you look at the dates of all of this was with his stop work order and everything, he was the only one on a 5-person board sticking up for a contractor on 109 Hampton Road. That was his contractor while doing his work with no permits. And with that also, if you look at his fee, he never paid to go in front of the ARB or zoning board for the work. So he never paid those fees. He paid a $50 building permit fee because he claimed that the work was only $4,000. You can't even put footings in for what he did for $4,000. So either the contractor did him a favor and did that work for nothing, or when he filled out and notarized his affidavit of cost, he purposely put it in wrong. We can't have people on the board like that. I would like to put this paperwork in. I could file a formal complaint. I didn't want to do this, but I would like to see maybe you hold off appointing him till after you review all the documents I drop off.
Well, we did actually already act upon it, but I'm happy to review whatever you
I'd
have.
be happy to drop
Yeah,
it off.
yeah.
Village attorney,
Yeah,
you,
that's fine. Yep.
the chief, or
No, well, not the chief. Not the chief. No. I think it's okay. But if we need to share something with her, we certainly can.
all right.
Thank you. And we can log it in with the clerk, and we'll have it here.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in. Anyone else like to speak? Okay. Then we will move on from public comment to suggested resolutions, and I'm going to call on Trustee Zananti to do the first one.
Number 1, resolve the claims for the warrant dated October 10th, 2024, totaling $832,063.07. Warrant number A13, General Fund, $263,964.35. Warrant number H5, Capital Fund, and $3,526. Warrant number CS3, CS Trust Fund are audited and approved. So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Number 2, resolve the reading of the minutes for the July 2024 Board of Trustee meetings are dispensed, accepted as filed by the village clerk, and the actions taken at those meetings are hereby ratified and approved. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Number 3, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that this proposed law is considered a Type 2 action under 6 New York Code of Rules and Regs, Part 617.5 C22 of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and that no further review under the New York Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8, is necessary. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting on November 14th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Village Meeting Room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, 11968, to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 110-43 of the Village Code, Vehicles and Traffic, by updating and amending Schedule 1, stopping, standing, and parking restrictions. That's your motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion. So just for edification, the two areas that are being addressed here in terms of parking, we had a gentleman come before the board a few meetings ago about the parking situation on Halsey Avenue, and he requested more parking at that location. Told him that I would go with the chief to look at Halsey Avenue. I have done that, and we are going to be removing the no parking restrictions on the south side of Halsey Avenue. The north side will remain no parking. It is a narrow road, but the chief agreed that it was fine to have the parking on one side and then to have it all the time on the other side. Right now, the little signs are saying that you can't park there from, I think it's 1 a.m. until 5 a.m., so there's no overnight parking. This will actually change that and allow someone, if they are on that street, to park there overnight, as I believe some of the residents and their guests may wish to do so. So that's one thing. The other thing that this is doing is the fire marshal came to me, and we had a discussion about the new movie theater that we're all excited will be reopening in February. He requested, thank you. He requested, though, that the area directly in front of the theater, I think for approximately 100 feet, be a fire zone to keep it clear for access by fire trucks, emergency vehicles. We're hoping that the theater will be very popular and that we'll have hundreds of people in there at one time. But that being the case, he recommended that a fire zone be placed. He said there used to be one way back when, and this is reinstalling the fire zone in front of the movie theater, which, as I said, will be coming in the next few months. So this is trying to do it in anticipation of that. So with that, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Number 4, whereas Section 116-5F of the Southampton Village Code authorizes a special permit for a mixed-use development in the Village Business District, which includes guest units for resort hotel use and dwelling units for workforce housing. And whereas the Board of Trustees is in possession of an application submitted by 71 Hill LLC seeking a special permit to develop a mixed-use development in the Village Business District consisting of 40 resort hotel guest rooms, 8 workforce housing units, and 2 staff workforce housing units. And whereas the property is located at 71 Hill Street in the Village Business Zoning District and further identified on the Suffolk County tax map as Section 904, Section 6, Block 1, Lot 8, and whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has reviewed the special permit application of 71 Hill LLC regarding the property located at 71 Hill Street in the Village of Southampton and has determined that the approval of said special permit is considered an unlisted action under 6 New York Code of Rules and Regs 617.5C22 of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and whereas the following agencies have been identified as involved agencies in the secret review process, namely the Southampton Village Planning Board and the Southampton Village Zoning Board of Appeals, and whereas the Board of Trustees desires to conduct a coordinated secret review and intends to seek lead agency status, now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby classifies the application as an unlisted action and requests lead agency status, and upon receipt of an updated full EAF Part 1, directs the Village Planning Director to circulate a coordination lead agency notification to the involved agencies. That's your motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Do you want to?
This is just, we did have some public hearings on this. This is just to initiate the secret process so that we can move forward with the application.
And we will be doing it jointly with the zoning board and
We're
the
going to
planning
coordinate review with the planning board, the zoning board. Hopefully, they'll consent to the lead agency status and we'll be able to move forward.
Okay. Then again, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
The next applicant, number 5, whereas 116-5F of the Southampton Village Code authorizes a special permit for a mixed-use development in the Village Business District, which includes guest units for resort hotel use and dwelling units for workforce housing. And whereas the Board of Trustees is in possession of an application submitted by 71 Hill LLC seeking a special permit to develop a mixed-use development in the Village Business District consisting of 40 hotel rooms, 8 workforce housing units, and 2 staff workforce housing units, and whereas the property is located at 71 Hill Street in the Village Business District and further identified on the Suffolk County Tax Map as 904, Section 6, Block 1, Lot 8, and whereas an initial public hearing was held by the Village Board of Trustees on August 8th, 2024, at which time the plan was presented to the Board of Trustees and the public, and all persons either for or against said special permit were heard, and whereas the public hearing was kept open for a continued hearing on September 12th, 2024, at which time the plan, with some proposed revisions, was again discussed with the Board of Trustees and the public, and all persons either for or against the special permit were heard, and the record was then closed. And whereas the Board of Trustees has determined that certain additional documents need to be submitted by the applicant, including updated floor plans, now therefore be it resolved that the record in this matter is hereby reopened for the purpose of accepting written submissions. That's your motion.
So I have one question here. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, the question I have is, I think we had actually kept it also open for written comment for 10 days.
Okay, well, I'll add that in,
Okay.
But it's,
So
in any event, it was
we
closed.
have already done that.
Right.
We've received all the written comment, and
Right.
the main purpose of this is so that we can get the floor plans.
Right, to allow additional
submitted.
submissions, right.
Okay.
And just my question, in all my years on the planning board, we never, in reviewing an application, required floor plans. Why is that necessary in this case?
Why do I don't need the floor plans, but in order to assess I think it's to assess the location of the workforce housing units, what the layout is going to be of the workforce housing units, the same with the staff housing, so we can see what they are. This isn't just a simple, plan. It includes
There were some
this
questions
new
about the staff
workforce
housing located in the lower level.
Well, it also, like the design of them, are they going to be, 2 units with 4 bedrooms each, or 4 units with 2 bedrooms each? Do they each have a living room, a kitchen, etc.? We only know what was told to us by the applicants, so we're looking for floor plans so that we can see what's proposed.
And are we as a board prepared to say, no, you shouldn't put a bedroom there, you should put it over there? I mean, I don't understand how granular we're going to get in reviewing this application. Like I said, on the planning board, more than 10 years, we never looked at interiors of any building.
Right, so I think this has to do with, really focuses on the different workforce housing units that are in there, that do have to comply with this special legislation, and the board, my understanding was, wanted to know what they were going to look like.
I mean, I have no problem with taking a look at it, but I just don't think we want to be getting into saying, no, the bathroom should be on this
Oh,
side
no,
of the room instead of that.
that's really not, that's not the purpose, Roy. It's just really to understand, again, the relationship of hotel rooms to the workforce housing units that are in a separate building, to the workforce housing, staff housing that's going to be on the lower level of the hotel.
Okay.
So it's to understand all that, because that's what the village board is charged with in the code, to, again, look at the ratios and understanding, the relationship of one to the other. The staff housing was something that was additionally added with this iteration of the plan. But again, I think what Eileen was saying was that we might need a little more information on that before we can just, accept it and move forward.
Who then reviews that to tell us it's okay?
But I think it was, I could be wrong, but I think based on the conversations that I was privy to, I think it had to do with, like, you didn't want the workforce housing located in the basement, that they wanted that on the main floor, but there's nothing.
And that was moved, but now there's just the staff housing.
There's nothing in the plan that tells us where it is.
Right.
So.
Anyway, I think it should be forthcoming very soon, and we can move forward.
Right.
And I think having a joint review process should make things a little more easy as well, I'm hoping. Okay.
You need a vote on that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, did we have a second? So, and a motion, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all right, thank you very much. And now we'll move on to number 6. Resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton hereby creates the position of Park Maintenance Crew Leader and establishes the annual rate of pay for Park Maintenance Crew Leader as follows. Provisional, $96,069. Step 1, $99,041. Step 2, $102,105. Step 3, $105,263. Step 4, $108,519. Step 5, $111,875. This is a position that Steve Phillips has asked that we create, and so we once established this by the rules of the CSEA, we must keep it open for 5 days for applicants to come forward, and then the board will be charged with determining who will be put into this position. So I'll make the motion.
Second.
Discussion just for a sec. Does this take a person that we already have and promotes them into this position, or is it a totally new position?
It's a totally new position, but it can be filled by an internal candidate.
And does it have an effect on the budget in terms of increasing the expenses of the DPW?
So it's anticipated that we would not be adding an additional employee. It would basically be looking for an internal candidate to fill this lead position.
So we lose one salary and pick up another, and it sort of washes out?
Correct. Correct.
And what do all these steps mean?
So actually, I'm going to ask Scott to help, because Scott helped create this with again, communications with Vince Toomey, the labor attorney.
When you establish a new position based on a CSEA contract, you establish steps in the process. In other words, how much you're going to pay someone when you first hire them, or what they call provisional or probationary. And then each year, the salary will go up based on the step process. And the theory there is that as someone becomes a part of the workforce, they learn more and then should be remunerated more. And that takes place over the course of 5 years after the provisionary period. This simply reflects how your current contract is already set up. It just reflects for this position, but mirrors pretty much every position that's included in the CSEA collective bargaining agreement.
And if I may add, this is very common through the police department and teaching, etc. It's very common to have steps like this.
So it's based on I'd say
Longevity.
seniority.
Longevity,
Yeah. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Len.
Number 7, the Board of Trustees approves the budgeted salary increase for Building Inspector David Harper to $71,585.60, effective October 11, 2024. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. Roy?
Resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the resignation of Southampton Village Fire Department Agawam Engine Company 1 member Stephen Intenson with 4.87 years of service, effective September 19th, 2024. So moved.
I'll a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the resignation of Southampton Village Fire Department Hook and Ladder Company number 1 member Courtney Intenson, 4.66 years of service, effective October 2nd, 2024. So moved.
Second.
Discussion, I just would like to thank Steve and Courtney for the 4+ years that they gave to the village in serving our volunteer fire department. Thank you very much for your service.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were a husband and wife team, and then I saw that they were also in different companies. But again, I want to also thank them for their almost 5 years of service. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Scott?
Yes, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the cancellation of the December Board of Trustees work session scheduled for Tuesday, December 24th, 2024 at 6 p.m.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I don't think anyone wants to come here on Christmas Eve, so we will not be here on Christmas Eve. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
They don't want to come here on Christmas Eve. Have I got good news for them? Resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the following holiday schedule for 2025 when Village Hall will be closed. Martin Luther King Day, Monday, January 20, 2025. President's Day, Monday, February 17th, 2025. Memorial Day, Monday, May 26th, 2025. Juneteenth, Thursday, June 19th, 2025. Independence Day, which is Friday, July 4th, 2025. Labor Day, Monday, September 1st, 2025. Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, Monday, October 13th, 2025. Veterans Day, Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, November 27th, 2025. Day after Thanksgiving Day, Friday, November 28th, 2025. Half day for Christmas Eve, Wednesday, December 24th, 2025. Christmas Day, Thursday, December 25th, 2025. Half day for New Year's Eve, Wednesday, December 31, 2025. And then New Year's Day, which is Thursday, January 1, 2026.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Rob?
Resolved, the Board of Trustees provided verbal concurrence on October 4th, 2024, and approved Guildhall, Sam, and Eastville Community Historical Society to host the Paris Concert Homestead event on Sunday, October 6th, 2024 at 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. at 51 Pond Lane, Southampton, New York, 11968, where they will assemble an art installation which will be on site for viewing until Monday, November 11th, 2024.
You'll make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the Shinnecock Nation Indigenous Peoples Day event to be held on Monday, October 14th, 2024 at 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. at Agawam Park. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Would you like to say anything? I'll wait for you. Did you hear? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now would you like to say something? Yes, please. And introduce yourself, too.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bianca Collins. I am the Council Secretary for the Shinnecock Nation. Thank you for approving this event to be held in Agawam Park. I'm very excited. For the last 3 years, I've held an Indigenous Peoples Day event on Shinnecock territory at Raindrops Cafe, and last year we decided that we needed some more space. So I partnered with Miss Denise Smith Meacham, who you know very well, and who has hosted many events at Agawam Park. And yeah, we're very excited to host this Monday. Everyone is invited. I will personally invite you myself. Hope to see you all there. It'll be a great day in Agawam Park. So thank you. And thank you on behalf of the Shinnecock Nation.
Thank you for being here.
coming.
All right.
And I just wanted to say, I think it was 2 nights ago, I happened to bump into perhaps the most well-organized demonstration I've ever
Yes.
experienced.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to say, I was stunned by how well organized it was and how peaceful it was and how, to me, inspiring it was. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but I think there were 200 or 300 people involved with it, right?
There was quite a few people.
And there were a lot of people.
Yes.
People on
yes.
horseback.
People on horseback. So if no one has heard of the Trail of Truth, the Muwekma Ohlone people from the San Francisco Bay Area actually have caravanned here over the last few months. And in recent weeks communicated with some of our tribal members and coordinated for them to stay and camp with us, brought their horses. A lot of people have also traveled with them from various tribal nations, but they are making their way currently to Washington, D.C. for Indigenous Peoples Day, and they will be staying through the election as well. But they're doing this Trail of Truth to just raise awareness of their fight and their journey for federal recognition, which means a lot to all tribal nations. Currently, there are 574 tribal nations that are recognized by the federal government. We are the 565th. We got our federal recognition on October 1st, 2010, even though we've been here for quite some time. But, you know, we wanted to just show them some support. And it was very, very well organized, and it is meant to be peaceful protest. But it was very well received. We were not responsible for all that traffic. There were some car accidents on 39, unfortunately, which is not unheard of, right before we left. But, you know, it was a beautiful day, and it was a beautiful and inspiring event.
Well done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Before you leave, I just wanted to
Yes.
share that, you know, Dr. Morell the superintendent of the school system
Yes.
invited me to come and make a proclamation at the high school in recognition of the tribe's recognition
Yes.
with the federal government. So I went up there. Trustee Zananti actually joined me as deputy mayor, and we were in the auditorium there, and we had a proclamation that was signed by myself and all the trustees that I read out, and maybe I would just read it for you here too, if you don't
Sure,
mind.
of course, I'd love that.
All right. Whereas the contributions of the Shinnecock Nation to Southampton Village and schools are worthy of acknowledgement and recognition, and whereas the Shinnecock Nation, Southampton Village, and the schools of Southampton share regional and cultural history that is important to recognize and honor in order to broaden cultural understanding and engender greater collaboration. And whereas the U.S. government officially granted the Shinnecock Nation federal recognition on October 1st, 2010, making them the 565th recognized sovereign nation in the United States of America. And whereas it is the intention of Southampton Village and the schools of Southampton to acknowledge this important day in local history by implementing an annual day of recognition that highlights the history of the Shinnecock Nation and their unique contribution to the village. And whereas the Southampton schools are committed to fostering an environment of inclusivity with its schools, and whereas as part of that commitment, Shinnecock Nation history, language, and culture has been incorporated as part of the curriculum in Southampton High School, and whereas the continuity of this collaboration with the Shinnecock Nation is important to our students' growth and awareness, and now therefore be it resolved that beginning in 2024 and continuing every year thereafter, October 1st shall be designated as Shinnecock Heritage Day in the village and schools of Southampton. And this was signed on the first day of October 2024.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, because I did not have the opportunity to hear that proclamation. So thank you. And thank you to the Village Board of Trustees. You're greatly appreciated. This is a significant moment in time for us, even in our relationships, government to government relationships with the village and also with Southampton Town. So, you know, we have made a commitment as a people, and I hear that you're making your commitment as well. And I know that there's a lot more awareness, a lot more education. But we are committed to strengthening the relationships that we have with one another and just garnering better community with one another. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
See you
Thank you.
Monday.
So, Edward.
Yeah, resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the Platelet Disorder Support Association to host their event on Sunday, October 27, 2024 at 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Agawam Park. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the closing of Elk Street on Thursday, October 31st, 2024 by the Southampton Village Police Department for Halloween festivities between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. So moved.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the request from the Commission of Veteran Patriotic Events to hold a Veterans Day Parade on Monday, November 11th, 2024 at 11 o'clock a.m. Services will be immediately following at Agawam Park. All village officials and the public are invited to participate. I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves Our Lady of Guadalupe to host their annual walking event on Thursday, December 12, 2024 at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Agawam Park, where they will assemble and proceed to Basilica of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary. Southampton Village Police Department has been notified of the event. Have a motion?
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we do have a supplemental agenda with 2 items. I'll make a motion that we address the supplemental agenda at this time.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Number 1 is resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts the $500 donation from Robert Wayne Studio for the photography services provided for the Walk the Sandway event, the Cooper's Beach celebration held on August 30th, 2024. The board extends their appreciation for this generous donation. That's your motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the Heart of the Hamptons to host their annual Polar Bear Plunge on Saturday, December 14th, 2024 at 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Cooper's Beach. Village of Southampton employee services from parks, buildings, maintenance, ambulance, and police departments will be needed from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. I will make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would like to announce that the village will be fielding a team this year to do the plunge. I will go. I already have Mimi signed up, as well as Karen Bontempo, and I welcome any other employees, that's including trustees, lawyers, and administrators, and police officers, to join in the polar bear plunge. All right. Thank you.
Good job.
All right, so at this time, we will go to comments from board members, and we will start with Trustee Brown.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to take a moment to wish people that did celebrate Rosh Hashanah, may this year be sweet and prosperous for all. And a special note again for that lovely donation from Robert Wayne Studio. It's so greatly appreciated. And once again, I know that it was a lovely event. I'm sorry I was not able to attend at Southampton in the breast health awareness and the donations that were made towards Ellen Run Foundation. I just want to thank everyone and wish everyone a prosperous and healthy and safe fall. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Brown. We will now go to Trustee Simeoni.
As a license to the Southampton Cultural Center, I just want to make a shout out that the SEC will be having their benefit on November 9th. It should be a lot of fun. I hope everybody will attend and support the Southampton Cultural Center.
Thank you, Trustee Simeoni. Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Southampton Village residents and visitors were the benefit of a wonderful event last weekend called Southampton Fest. It was the 12th year this has been done, and it was absolutely spectacular. The weather was incredible, and it was just such a well-organized event. It started with a cocktail party Friday night hosted by the Southampton Rotary Club. Thanks to them for hosting that event. I know the mayor was there. I saw him. He made some nice comments. And then on Saturday and Sunday in Agawam Park, there were hundreds of people there and a lot of great attractions. The event was representative of our entire community. There were some boutiques there. There was our Boy Scouts were there. Shinnecock Indian Dance Troupe was performing. We had our Southampton hook and ladder, raising the ladder up and down, giving people a ride in that. We had our new village ambulance there so people could see what their tax dollars have bought in terms of a brand new ambulance to take care of them when they have an issue. And all in all, it was just a wonderful event and so many people to thank, particularly the main sponsors, which were the Southampton Association, the Peter Marino Art Foundation, the Lake Agawam Conservancy, the Northwell Health, Peconic Bay Medical Center. Those groups donated a fair amount of money, which made it possible to have such a fantastic event. Of course, nothing happens without people. So thanks to Ben Douglas, who organized the chowder contest, Steve Phillips, our DPW head, John Flick, Bob Hand in the Parks Department, the Southampton Village Police Department, thank you, Chief, the Southampton Village Fire Department, the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance, Kristen Lonnie, Kathy Sweeney, Paul Delzato, the Scoutmaster and Troop 58 Boy Scouts, Karen Bontempo did a lot of work, Shinnecock Boys and Girls Club dancers, opera singer Ashley Bell, and of course the main organizer and person who put it all together, Nancy Kane. It really was a wonderful event. Rogers Memorial Library was participating. The African American Museum had a Pierce concert, self-guided tour. The Shinnecock sea kelp farmers were there. I think every institution in our village somehow had a hand in this wonderful event. And the really good news is that Nancy did such a good job raising funds and organizing and keeping expenses down that it looks like the overage of funds collected, which might be in the neighborhood of $5,000, will be donated to the Southampton War Memorial Monument Renovation Fund. which is really good. It's been moving along, raising money. And just speaking of that, the Southampton Historical Museum is going to, in conjunction with trying to publicize the War Memorial, is going to have an exhibit starting in November, which will document the contributions of the 900 men and women from the village of Southampton who served in World War I, of whom 30 lost their lives. The war effort was also very inclusive back in the day in 1916. It included summer residents, it included year-round locals, it included members of the Shinnecock Indian tribe. It was an inclusive war, and I'm sure the 30 people who died represented all of those constituencies as well. The museum exhibition will bring together artifacts, photographs, and personal memorabilia that tell the unique tales of Southampton's citizens' diverse contributions to that effort. So thank you very much. Today's my birthday. That's why I talk so long.
Happy birthday. You can sing if you want.
Good. And thank you all for all your good wishes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Stevenson. We'll go to Trustee Zananti.
Thank you, Mayor. As liaison to the Buildings Department and Code Enforcement, I want to welcome our new employee who starts tomorrow, Kyle Matheson. On October 1st, the mayor and I attended the first celebration of the Shinnecock Heritage Day at the Southampton High School. There were some wonderful and inspiring speakers, a traditional music and dance performance, which was very enjoyable, and a mayoral proclamation, as you heard tonight, to honor the occasion. It was a really terrific event. Southampton Fest was a resounding success because of the exhibitions, the events, and the attendance, and also because of the perfect weather. A big shout out to Nancy Kane and to all those whose hard work contributed to a terrific weekend in the village. On Saturday, October 19th at Village Hall from 10 a.m. to noon, we are hosting a Clean Water Project Community Forum to discuss our efforts to create a sewer system for the village business district. Town Supervisor Maria Moore is expected, as well as Dr. Chris Gobler and members of the Clean Water Task Force Committee. It's an effort to engage residents on the project, what it would look like, how it'll work, and solicit feedback. All are encouraged to come. And lastly, we formed the Southampton Village Local Traffic Committee the other day. We finalized it, which will discuss ideas for traffic mitigation and present them to the Southampton Town Traffic Mitigation Task Force. The members of the committee are residents living and representing the streets above and below Hill Street, and includes Wayne Miller, Jack Zacharias, Sandy Enstein, William McClanahan, Allison Fagan, Eric Ruttenberg, and Colby McGraby. From the Southampton Village Government will be the mayor, the trustees, village administrator Scott Russell, Police Chief Hertow, DPW Superintendent Steve Phillips, Planning Commission member Jacob Yahayan, Nancy Kane, and myself. And again, thank you for listening to me, and have a good night.
Thank you very much, Trustee Zananti. So I just wanted to speak about a couple of things. I did also, before attending Southampton Fest on Saturday, got to attend the funeral of Lucius Ware, who everyone knows was a renowned figure in the community as a past chapter president of the NAACP. I was graciously asked by the family to make some remarks, and I spoke about how really Lucius was such a presence. I mean, not only physically, but just anytime he entered a room, you could feel his presence. And it really was because he only was thinking about others. It was, again, never about him. He wanted to help others, whether they were his students. As you know, he was a teacher, his neighbors, his family. He was there always for other people, and that's what made him so remarkable and exceptional. It was a lovely service attended by many people, and it was nice to be able to pay tribute to him. I also then on Sunday got to attend a Wounded Warriors event at Shinnecock Golf Club, where there were soldiers from the British and American military that had been wounded in battle and were invited to come and play golf at Shinnecock, which I think was a dream for many of those folks. Many of them played on artificial limbs, but it was, again, an honor to be in their presence and see them enjoy our beautiful golf course. I also want to give an update on some of the infrastructure in the village. There will be a major drainage project about to begin at South Main Street and Toilsome Lane. They're already working on Toilsome, but it's a major flooding issue in that area. Some of the residents will be very pleased that we're finally addressing this. But I just wanted to let the public know that the street will have to be shut down for some period of time so that the drainage can be installed. We've also installed a new sidewalk in front of the elementary school on Hampton Road, and also a new section of sidewalk on Little Plains. It's a constant battle with the roots of trees that shift the sidewalks and lift them up, and so we have to go in and repair those. But I want to say that the village crew has done an amazing job putting in and repairing those sidewalks. And then the roof at the Southampton Arts Center, the asphalt shingling is completed. They've put in beautiful copper coping on the side and flashing. And when the slate arrives from Vermont, they will start the slate portion on the front of that historic building. So there's quite a bit that is going on in the village. I also wanted to say that happy birthday to Roy, of course, but I will actually be out of town for the work session to be held on the 22nd of this month. So I am turning the meeting leadership over to Deputy Mayor Zananti, who will fill in for me on that day. And then want to just make sure everyone knows that there is a referendum on the ballot. Number 3 is specific to the village. Hope everybody can take a look at that. And it really is important that we do things to clean up the water in Lake Agawam and get some additional open space parkland. So I would just encourage everyone to pay attention to that on November 5th when they go to the polls. Other than that, again, I want to thank everyone. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to go to executive session to discuss some legal and contractual matters. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. The time now is 8:37. The village board is coming out of executive session where no action was taken, and I am now making a motion to close this meeting of the Board of Trustees for October 10th.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.